Hot take, Challengers is probably the film of the year for 2024. I know, this is a crazy thing to say when films like Dune Part 2, Honora, Nickel Boys, and The Brutalist all came out last year, but honestly, Challengers hasn't left my mind since I originally saw it in theaters. The direction from Luca Guadagnino and the way the film is edited in particular leads to probably one of the best visual experiences I've had in theaters in a while. And on top of that, the narrative and themes of this film are so complex and well developed that it makes this film such an enjoyable watch. Whereas most movies today feel like they're grayscaled into oblivion with all of the life sucked out of them, Challengers brought back a vibrant look to a complex drama that can't help but pull you in right away. To think that this film got a total of 0 Oscar nominations, whereas a film like Amelia Perez got 13 is mind-blowing to me. Going off of the Letterboxd consensus alone, you'd think the complete opposite would happen, but not according to the Academy. This has been known for a while now, and it's recently gained traction again, but the people who vote on these panels for the Oscars don't watch every movie they're voting on, and often take into account purely the opinions of what others have told them about these films. On the Oscars website, when asked, does every voting member have to see every single film, their answer was no, but members are asked to watch as many films as possible and only vote on the films that they have actually seen. While this might not sound too bad on the surface, it's crazy to think that people on the premier voting stage for film aren't required to see every single film they're voting on. While it might be actively encouraged to not vote on something you haven't seen, still having the ability to vote at that kind of level takes away all credibility when your one job is to watch and review movies. This is well known in the industry too, with 2 anonymous Oscar voters telling the Los Angeles Times in 2012 that they, quote, didn't watch Best Picture winner 12 Years a Slave prior to the ceremony because of its subject matter, but still voted on the film anyways. And in 2015 as well, quote, after Birdman won Best Picture at the Academy Awards, The Hollywood Reporter published a study that claimed nearly 6% of Academy members didn't watch that year's Best Picture nominees. So then why do we give so much validation to the opinions of people who can't even vet their own job description? Well, because the Oscars have been the premier award show for decades at this point, and it's so ingrained into film culture that no matter how many award shows try to top it, the Oscars will always be the most prestigious and well-recognized industry award that any film can receive. Precedence is hard to move away from, and even with its flaws, people will still see the Oscars as the best award any film can be considered for, even if it's not perfect. This really sucks for something like Challengers though, because a lack of recognition means the average viewer of something like the Oscars probably won't take time out of their day to go watch this film. The Oscars list effectively works as a list of films you need to watch from the last year, and without being a cinephile who stalks Letterboxd 24/7, you probably haven't heard about a lot of fantastic films that came out in 2024, just like Challengers. Challengers easily has my favorite score of 2024 as well, and probably some of the best editing too. The fast-paced techno score, intermixed with its synth-filled melodic moments, leads to some great tension building that keeps you on the edge of your seat for basically every scene. On top of that, there's so much sexual tension between everyone in this movie, and instead of leaning into that with a loving score that makes you feel emotionally invested, the score instead mimics the love triangle of the film and cues you into the layered manipulation happening behind the scenes. This dense character narrative underscores what otherwise could have just been another tennis movie, and I think that's what makes Challengers special. Art is deeply in love with Tashi, and Tashi is deeply in love with Art, but above all Tashi wants is to see both Patrick and Art reach a level of greatness she knows she will never be able to reach again. She's in love with both of them for different reasons, but ultimately wants to see 2 people she deeply cares for reach her goal of becoming the best. And it's not that Tashi is doing this because she loves one more than the other, or because she doesn't love either of them at all. It's actually a lot deeper than that. Tashi loves the game of tennis, and through this love of the game, she deeply loves Patrick and Art because of what they can give her. Because her career was cut short, her entire goal became to make Art the best player he could be. Whereas physical and emotional attraction might be the main mediums for which both Patrick and Art love Tashi, the main medium in which she shows affection for both of them is the game of tennis. She still loves both of them as people, she even has a kid with Art, but the one way she can feel fulfillment is through watching the 2 people who she can't help but cycle through become the best they possibly can be at tennis. Going away from just a thematic standpoint, Challengers also has some of the best and most unique visuals that I saw during 2024 as well. The editing for this film was top-notch, and so much of this film works because the tennis scenes have so much rich emotion built into the way that they're shot and composited. Editing was a category Challengers won at the Critics' Choice Awards, and to think that the Academy couldn't even recognize it for that nomination is kind of wild. There's an entire scene in this film where the camera is literally inside of a tennis ball, and you as the audience are passed around on the tennis court. The camera then zooms out, and you get a wide view of the entire match before you go under the tennis court and watch both Art and Patrick from below. It's stuff like this that feels so fresh and innovative, pushing the limits of what camera use can look like on film, and stuff like this only works because the editing and directing for this film works so well in harmony. There's a scene where all 3 of them get drunk in a hotel room together and start making out on Art and Patrick's bed. It's a 2-minute, uninterrupted shot of the 3 of them kissing as the camera just stays stagnant for about 2/3 of the shot before slowly zooming in on Tashi as you see just Art and Patrick making out as she smiles and watches. Not only is it symbolic of her having complete control over them at that moment, the shot is also just so well done and perfect for what the film is trying to convey. Love and infatuation doesn't come purely from an inherent physical or emotional attraction. There's a deeper meaning, potentially blind to us, that underscores every action we make. Every part of this film works together in some of the best ways possible. The slow zoom-ins, creative camera work, top-notch score, and dramatic writing leads to such an erotic drama that can't help but linger in the back of your mind constantly. I've seen this film twice now, and I'll probably watch it again and again, and it's a shame knowing that this got a total of 0 Oscar nominations. It encapsulates everything great about Guadagnino as a director and Koritsky's as a writer, and knowing this film will only leave a legacy with a $96 million gross and 1 Critics' Choice Award win will never sit right with me. This is easily one of the best films of 2024, and I will stand by that point until the day I die. Go give Challengers a watch if you haven't already, and at the very least, let's hope Amelia Perez goes 0 for 13 in a couple weeks at the Oscars.